Why you wanna be a part of the game? Why you wanna be ashamed of the game? Why you wanna be?
All right, who do we have the pleasure of speaking with today?
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Joan Carlos Cardenas Caicedo, and I'm from, I was born here in Buenaventura, Colombia, the principal port of Colombia. We have about 60% of all the imports of Colombia. And, right now I live in Medellin, Colombia.
Okay, so when were you born?
I was born in 1980. And well, I was born here in Buenaventura, like I told you, and I was raised in Houston, Texas. But I started off on the West Coast in Long Beach, and I left there when I was around like 9, 10 years old. Then I went to Houston, Texas, and it was, I learned so much in Houston, so it was all good. I love Houston, DJ Screw all day long. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. So how old were you when you left Colombia for the United States?
Now, I was 5 years old when I left Colombia. My dad was fighting with my mom, and my dad said, hey, let's go to America, United States. And she said, no. So my dad said, nah, I'm gonna take my kids, I'm gonna take them to the United States. My mom said, nah, you ain't gonna take them nowhere. So they got into a fist fight, literally, and my dad took me on a taxi, and we left. We went to Mexico. We took a plane trip from here to Colombia to Mexico. And so that's how we started our venture into going into the United States of America.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you have any memories of your childhood up until 5 years old when you was here in Colombia before you left?
Of course, I have memories, of the foods here, the chuntadoodles, the coconuts, my cousins, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of my cousins took care of me and stuff like that. So I always have the memories. Sometimes you catch a certain fragrance in the air that reminds you of, the foods and the products and the aroma of your country.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So you said about 11 years old, you ended up in Houston.
Yeah, I was starting around 11, 12. I ended up in Houston,
Okay, so you said your dad took his kids plural, so you have siblings.
Yeah, I got my brother. He in Houston, Texas right now, southwest side of A-Leaf. Okay. What's up, Mario?
Cool. So what was it like growing up in Houston?
Well, growing up in Houston, it was kind of wild, you know what I'm saying? Because there was a part of time when I was with my dad in Houston. Then, my dad, he got popped, he got incarcerated. So that time in my life, I was in a foster care system, Houston foster care system. So those in that time, it was too distinctive, you know what I'm saying? Because, at a young age, I experienced, kick door burglars, being people kicking the doors in, trying to look for my parents and stuff like that. Then in foster care, that's another thing because, I met a lot of foster brothers from all types of races, Mexican, Honduran, and all that. So it's all love, You have foster brothers, crack babies and stuff like that, that I love so much. Julian, hey, what's up, Julian? We love you.
Cool. So what was high school like for you?
High school, I went to high school. By that time in the high school, it was kind of rough because, my dad got popped. He did 23 years in the federal penitentiary. And so we were separated. But luckily, I went to the foster care system with my brother. And I had a foster mother. Her name was Mona. And she is a beautiful lady. She's from Louisiana. Her people from Louisiana and Texas. So she was a chef. So she was always cooking that good old gumbo, and all that boudin and all that stuff. So I love Miss Mona, And tell me again.
What high school was like when you?
Yeah, so in high school, it was primarily, I was with the brothers. I was with the black brothers. because, you know, I didn't speak Spanish. They was like always telling me, your name is Carlos, but why you don't speak Spanish? You know, and to tell the truth, my dad didn't want me to teach me no Spanish because he was really paranoid, you know, and he wanted to keep his lifestyle kind of like a secret, you know, from his kids. So everything was just, I had to figure everything out myself. High school, we had to fight against the Mexicans, you know. Us black brothers I went to north side of high school when I was in foster care. You know, and the north side was kind of like a prestigious area. So because I lived on this side of the street, I went to like a predominantly white high school, and my other brothers that lived on the other side of the street, they went to you know, they was in Acre Shakers, Fofo. They went to the hood high school, you know. So, but this high school, we had to fight a lot of Mexicans. So in high school, it was just like fighting a lot of Mexicans, you know what I'm saying, fighting and just going into a boys' alternative school because we fighting a lot, you know what I'm saying, representing.
So that's interesting. So I would imagine when you first left Colombia and went to the United States at 5 years old, English was or Spanish was your first language, right?
To the extent, I mean, yeah, sort of, because when you get 5 years old, you're using like little small, you know what I'm saying, Spanish words. Donde está la casa? Oh, mama, you know what I'm saying? Using small little words. So when I came, yeah, I came with a little bit of Spanish, but once my stepmother, she's from San Francisco, you know what I'm saying, California, Florida. Her name was Ida Claire. So once when I got to the United States, you know, we was in Long Beach, parts of LA, Oakland too, you know, we went into English quick, and none of my family members, they didn't speak no Spanish. Even
Okay,
my dad.
So the little bit of Spanish that you came to the States with left you at an early age.
Real quick at an early age. You know,
Gotcha.
I was records, Stevie Wonder, you know what I'm saying, and Michael Jackson.
Exactly. So where does your life go after high school?
Well, after high school, I was in foster care, and the system was like, well, this man doesn't have his resident card yet, so I had to write Sheila Jackson Lee, and she gave me my resident card, and I aged out of the system of CPS. They kicked me out, and I went to job care. I went to Gary Job Care after that, and they sent me out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, parts of in Gary. They sent me to Gary one
Indiana.
time, in Texas. Then they sent me to Oklahoma. Okay. I was doing a fortified surf forklifter.
Oh, okay.
You know.
So did you graduate high school?
No, I didn't graduate high school because like I was in foster care, and you know, it was just hard, man. I was just, you know what I'm saying, I didn't graduate, man, because sometimes I was out there hustling because I had no, you know what I'm saying, my foster mother, she was kind of like shiesty, you know, she didn't want to help me out, so I was at the hustle, you know. I was you know, we're selling like in high school I was selling like the Optimos. Yeah, we call them Optimos, you know, they're like blunts, but they're green. Them Vegas, we call them Vegas in Houston, them Vegas, you know. So I was a kid, you know what I'm saying, get them Vegas. You
right.
know?
Right. So you go to Job Corps in multiple different places and was finding work like that. So then, you know, as your adult life is progressing, how do things go?
Man, I'm looking around my adult life, you know, I'm trying to look for some kind of direction. I'm trying to see where I can go. Ain't nobody telling me nothing. I'm trying to, you know, trying to figure everything out. But it just seems like everybody around me is just selling dope and no one got a master plan, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, at the time, I just started playing the saxophone. So, you know, so I started playing the saxophone. I went to New Orleans. My homeboy, he came from Washington, D.C. He was playing the Pink Panther. I fell in love with the saxophone. So from then on, I started studying jazz, you know? And I even went down to New Orleans to try to live in New Orleans to really get into the mix, you know, on Bourbon Street, you know what I'm saying? All them people. But when I went over there to New Orleans, it was killing so much, and you smelled this death in the air, and them youngsters was talking about, yeah, look at me, I get shot up. You know, I couldn't be around that area, around that kind of environment where people just thinking it's cool to get killed. While I'm trying to learn how to play jazz, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to play jazz, man, you know, and they get mad at me. They're like, oh, you an outsider. You're not from here. What you doing with the horn and trying to play in our city? So, you know, I just learned what I could. I went back to Houston, H-Town. Then 2 years later, 3 years later, Katrina they come over here to H-Town, you know? And that's a whole different story, you know. But I love my people from Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? Third Ward, Magnolia, Uptown, all my people from New Orleans, you know what I'm saying? Them beignets, oh, you know, I love all that food.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. So you started playing the sax before you got to the guitar.
Right. It was ironic because the guitar was my first instrument. I bought my first guitar at 16, but my foster brother, he said, yo, let me borrow the guitar. He stole the guitar. He never brought it back. And later on, I started playing the saxophone. So about 7 months, God told me to start playing the horn, the guitar. So it's been a blessing ever since.
That's beautiful, man.
You know?
So have you ever had the opportunity to record or play with bands or anything like that?
I haven't, but it'll be a blessing if I do, you know, because I'm the greatest musician on this earth, really, because, you know, I was part of the punk rock movement in Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas. I was like the Afro punk. I was the only black dude there. And I grew up around DJ Screw, you know, so all the funk and all them that culture from DJ Screw and H-Town, you know what I'm saying? I got it in my heart and I represent that, you know what I'm saying? I represent music. I do all music, you know? Reggae, hip hop, anything, you name it, I'm down with it.
Good stuff. So do you have any children?
Nah, I don't have any children. A lot of girls went to get me pregnant, but I mean, they wanted me to get them, you know what I'm saying, pregnant, but I mean, there's too much crazy stuff going on in the United States. I might have one, I ain't gonna lie. I know she got my baby. She went to LA, but you know what I'm saying? She was like, she tripping. She was just like, she turned Muslim and all that stuff. I seen her in LA. She from Houston, Texas. Her name was Sharia. But she denied me. She was like, nah, that's not your child. But I know that's my child. You know, so this is my love to my unborn child.
Cool. So did you have a serious relationship with her or any other ladies? Did you have like any long-term serious relationships?
Nah, I mean like after high school, it's either, you know, the women's they go to universities, and most of, you know, brothers we go to jail and prisons. You know, we get a lot of trouble. And the women, my high school sweetheart, she abandoned me for the university. So, you know, after that, I was heartbroken, and I just I knew for myself, you know, shit, there ain't too much love, you know. You know, as far as high school and all that stuff's concerned, all the people in high school, I don't know where they at. They ain't no love.
Right. So,
you know,
so as you get into your older adult life, how do things go from there?
Man, my older adult life, I'm just trying to figure everything out. You know what I'm saying? I got into a situation in Seattle, Washington. You know, a white man, I was walking down the street. He didn't want me to walk. So we got into a fist altercation. I fought him, you know. Police came, they said that it was my fault. You know, they took me to the county jail in Seattle. Then they let me out. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? 6 months later, they let me out. And I left that state. I went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? I'm with my girlfriend, my wife. 5 years later, playing horn at the you know, hockey stadiums every day. 5 years later, they knocked down my door. ICE with Obama talking about I gotta go for a fight that happened 5 years ago. And now I'm here in Medellin. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm American they turn citizens into criminals. And they take their criminals and make them into stars. You know, and that's cold-blooded, man. That's cold-blooded, you know, because the whole idea of a misdemeanor felony it doesn't make no sense. You know, you guys are criminalizing people, innocent people. hardworking people, you know what I'm saying, that contribute to your society, you know, and you guys are messing up that. Now you got a Gestapo that's going around, you know, identifying, saying who doesn't belong and who does belong. And that's messed up, man. You know, so I'm here just to tell the world the truth, what's really going on.
Right. So you got deported from Michigan?
I got deported, from Michigan.
So what was the process like? How did things go? You said they come knock on your door, they arrest you?
It was me and my wife who was just relaxing, chilling. They kicked the door open with full guns loaded. My wife, she's screaming, she crying. You know, she said, Joan Carlos, where's the green card? Where's the green card? You know, I finally showed them green card, and all my neighbors was looking at me, and everybody came out, and they put me on a handcuff like I'm a fugitive or something like that. You know, for an incident that happened 5 years ago that was petty. Everybody gets into a fight.
Oh, so you had papers? You were legit?
Yeah, I had my papers. I had my resident card papers. You know what I'm saying? And I got into a little scuffle, and they wrote that, and I did my time, and I went about my life. And they came back 5 years later, and they said, "Hey, we can get them on something. Let's get them on that." And that's what happened, bro. You know. And I'm just like, I'm not just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a criminal, bro. I'm a good person. You know, I'm a real artist. A real American, you know, real American. So it just baffles my mind, bro. You know, what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's a crazy situation, man. That's very unfortunate, man. So after they take you, what was the process like? Because I've heard different stories about.
They took me, they take you, then they give you just sandwiches that are dry food. You're nearly starving to death. They put you in a room, you know, full of a lot of people from all international people. You know, it was just, and I told them, I was like, yo, I've never been to Colombia. They're like, nah, we're gonna send you over there because, you know what I'm saying, you got into a fight. And there was nothing I can do about it. You know, they contacted my aunt over here in Colombia. They say, hey, we got Joan Carlos here. Do you know this guy? She says, yeah, that's my nephew. And they put 200 of Colombian of us. They handcuffed us in an airplane. And they told us if the airplane goes down, we cannot uncuff you. You will drown. All y'all will drown here if anything happens. And that was one of my biggest fears. I was like, yo, I'm up here handcuffed in the middle of the air, you know? But thank God that we made it. We touched down. So, you know, I came back here to Colombia and Bogota, and it was just a whole different world. You know what I'm saying? I never seen people like this, you know, because I was a little boy, you know. I haven't been here since I was a little boy, so people speaking like so fast. Now I had to learn the language, and I have to understand the rules of this country as well now, you know?
Right, so you landed in Bogota. Did you stay in Bogota any amount of time, or did you leave right away?
By the will of God, when I was in a detention center, a man looked at me. Everybody was making fun of me because they seen the dreadlocks. And usually when people come in, they say, oh, he's from Jamaica. Oh, he's from Mexico. Oh, he's from that. So when I came in with the dreadlocks, all the Latin people were saying, nah, he's from Jamaica. He's from Haiti. And the police officer said, no, this is Joan Carlos. He's Colombian. They said, nah, he ain't Colombian. So it was like, yo, this guy's Colombian. Then another black guy, but everybody was saying, but this guy don't speak Spanish. How he Colombian if he don't speak Spanish? Then another guy said, what's his name? His name is Joan Carlos. He said, hey, I know his father. So a man that knew my father from the pen knew who I was. And he told me, hey, man, you know what? When you get in Bogota, I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you where your people's at. I'm going to show you, the city where I'm from, Buenaventura. I'm going to show you how you get there. So, Augustine Vivas, he showed me, connect me with my whole family. You know what I'm saying? My peoples. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's only God, man. That's a blessing right there. So when you get to your hometown and you get around your people, how was that?
It was embracing, they had like a reunion. I cut my dreads off at the time, right when I touched down, I cut my dreads off, just to, just to get more access to the culture. They was very surprised, they was very happy. I have like 6 aunts. So they took me from house to house to house to house. I lived there for some of them. I lived there for about a year, 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I was my nephews. I was looking at them. I was studying their Spanish because it's really great to study children. You can learn Spanish really quick because adults speak a lot of jergas, which means a lot of slang. So if you want to learn Spanish, study the children. They'll teach you. So you had to adapt to the culture. Had to learn the culture again. And I don't speak Spanish perfect, but I get my point across. That's what matters. You know what I'm saying? And the people that know me, they know, I might have an accent, but be very respectful because I'm very, sharp with the tongue. I'm very sharp with the tongue.
Exactly. So how long did you stay in your hometown before you moved around?
I stayed there for about 2 years. It was on vacation. It was like a vacation. After about a year, your family, they're gonna look for that money. Vacation's over with. What can you bring to the house? What can you benefit? So at that time, there's not a lot of jobs of English in Buenaventura because it's a major port. And, it's a little conflict zone. It's a little zone out there. It's a little conflict zone because every 5 years there's a new capo. There's a new, drug lord. So there's always a lot of conflicts in that area. So the port of Colombia, Cali, Colombia, is 3 hours. That's the next big city. So, I stayed in Buenaventura, my country, for my city for about 2 years. And after that, I went to the next big city, which is Cali, Colombia. And that's where you're going to meet the mestizo, the mestizo race of Latinos in Colombia.
So for those of us who aren't familiar, explain what you said mestizos?
Excuse me. Yes. So I will explain to you, 70% of Latinos are what you call mestizo. A mestizo is a mixture between a European and an Asian, Eastern Asian. So Spanish comes from Spain. Okay, Spanish come from Spain, so these people are really immigrants here. They migrated here, and the truth of the matter is that we black people from Colombia are the indigenous people of this land. We not come in slave ships. We came here on ships, because we built ships. Okay, so the whole idea of the Latin black man, we're still not represented. Black Latinos are still not represented to this day. Afro Latinos are still not represented. We not came directly as slaves here. We came here as gentlemen, kings and queens. Okay, and the mestizo, he is from Spain. He come here. He is the immigrant. Okay, and I had to remind lots of mestizos this every day. Because they thought that if you don't know your history, they will trick you and they're going to make you feel like you're a guest in your own house. But if you know your history, you can empower yourself and they will tuck their tails. Okay, because in the schools they say there are mestizos. By race, we have mestizos, we have mixtures, here, and that's what a mestizo is. So Colombia, we the black, natives of here, we're here. We've always been here. We're not going anywhere.
Okay, so interesting. So you go to Cali, and how long do you stay in Cali?
I went to Cali. I stayed in Cali for about 2 years. Cali is a beautiful city, very hot. It's kind of like Houston, I like it. It's beautiful there. Lots of flavor, lots of salsa, But there's some English jobs over there. Not as much as Medellin. But I was over there. I went to the English. I worked at a couple of call centers over there as well. So it was very, very interesting in college, But something I love the weather of Medellin. I love the hills, So Medellin, I just like the people and the environment.
Okay, so after 2 years in Cali, you come to Medellin.
I come to Medellin. Yeah.
Okay, so how has life been from the time you got to Medellin up until now?
Oh man, I had so many great experiences. You know, I got here, I was playing my saxophone. Um, I had girlfriends here. When I first got here, you know, people, to tell you the truth, when I first got here, you didn't see too many Rastas. My bad. There was not a lot of Rastas. First of all, they ain't, you know, I had to represent. When I first got here, you know, I had to represent. I had to, you know, literally, you know, beat people up sometimes to show them that I'm not scared. I had to be very powerful with my lips and my tongue spiritually, you know, because they were not used to a Rasta. They didn't see the Rasta man here, you know. But believe me, right now I can walk anywhere right now and nobody says nothing. And people know my spirit. They know I'm a musician. They know I'm a good person. People respect Rasta now. So any Rasta come over here, don't worry. I laid the respect down, you know. Before they used to see me, look at him, But afterwards they started knowing me. I play music, you know. I have my nunchucks, you know, I'm a warrior. Now these people, you know, they look at me with respect, you know. They know, think twice.
Cool. And you've been here in Medellin for how long now?
I've been here in Medellin for 6 years.
Okay.
It's so good here, you know. You don't mess with nobody, nobody messes with you. Um, uh, you know, there are a couple of situations, but it's been great. You know, I have to educate a lot of people. You know, I'm a spirit man, so a lot of people come out here. They look for spiritual, you know, strength, and they come look for me. You know, so it's been a blessing, definitely.
That's a beautiful thing. So up until current times right now, how is your life like in Medellin today?
Oh man, you know, right now I'm struggling right now, you know, as far as job is concerned, you know, as English job, you know, there's a lot of jealousy, you know, people want to don't want to give you your props, your respects because they don't want to see you have the same thing that they have, you know. I'm seeing that, you know. Um, so you know, as far as as job, it's been a little, you know, a brother really needs, you know, sense of connections, international connections here, you know, because the mestizos, you know, they got it locked, you know, and it's hard for them to share, you know, they got it on lock and it's competition, you know. You know, people are afraid and they think they're going to lose out. So it's been very, 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 you know what I'm saying, very interesting.
Okay, so you know, so you say you've been struggling as of late. Uh, you know, different people around the world have different definitions of struggle. So what is it like for you to struggle here in Medellin, especially being someone who was raised in the United States and being here now? What is the struggle like for you?
Oh man, it's a struggle every time, man. Every interaction is a spiritual fight. You know what I'm saying? Every interaction, every conversation. You know, so people are, you know, people have a lot of masks on. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not trying to. I don't. You know, I say change myself. You know what I'm saying? Before I try to change the world. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna go crazy if you're gonna try to change the world. So, you know, it's been very. I don't speak Spanish perfect, so sometimes you know people try to look at that, you know, or sometimes people try to, you know, they think that because you're going through the struggle that they're going to treat you any kind of way. And I'm gonna tell you right now, no, no, no. You know, we don't play that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money you got. You know, if you find somebody that's poor, you don't have the right to try to treat them some kind of way, especially when you come to me. You better respect me, man, because I respect everybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money you got. And that's just it. You know, some people, they try to put you in that category. You feel me? And that's everywhere. Probably, you know what I'm saying? So I always tell people, you know what I'm saying? Look at the heart. If you look at my heart, you'll know that I'm rich. Now outside, I might be in a struggle, but that can change anytime. You know what I'm saying? But I'm so rich inside. And some people are rich outside, but inside, they're empty. They have no souls, and they have all the money in the world.
Man, you know, just listening to you, you know, you seem to be very positive and optimistic in spite of your circumstance, man. And you know, a lot of people who haven't been here to Colombia or Medellin in particular, they don't know what it's like to be, you know, out here in the streets and, you know, struggling and things like that. So, you know, it can be very rough. I've seen, you know, within my times, that I've spent here, I've seen how people struggle here, and it's very rough.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the United States, we don't
Yeah.
have a clue.
You're right,
So,
exactly.
how do you stay so optimistic and positive in spite of your circumstance?
That's very, very excellent question. You know, I would definitely say that I have a philosophy that all the pain that I see around me, I try to change into beauty, and all the ugliness I see around me, change it into glory. All the pain, change it into power, and all the ugliness, change it into beauty. All the pain, I'm changing it into power, and all this ugliness, I'm gonna change it into beauty. You know, no matter what happens on the outside, I never let that affect my inner peace. My inner peace, you know? So that's how I deal with it. It's called transformation. Just like Jesus turned water into wine. That's what we have to do here on this earth, you know? So that's how I deal with it. Nothing on the outside can affect my inside peace, my inner peace. That's how I deal with it, you know? Definitely.
That's beautiful. So, Johan, where would you like to see your life go from here? What is your plan, or what would you like to see happen for yourself in the near future?
Well, you know, I have, you know, like I said, you know, my music is very beautiful. I have a message for the world, and I have something to give, always something to give. So I would like to record. I have 3 books out that I would like to produce through Amazon. I would like to connect with other spiritual people, you know, that are using imagination. They know that we are all connected. You know, I would like to see in the future us get together, make some music, make some poetry, and just connect, build ourselves up. You know, definitely. You know, I'd like to connect with more brothers out here. I need more brothers coming to the United States. Let's build. You know, don't look at this place as vacation, but look at this place as a second home. You know, you got your brother right here. You can build with me. You know, don't build with the mestizo. Try to build with your brother first. You know, because you know, a lot of brothers, you know, they don't show love for another brother out here, man. You know, a lot of brothers, they spending money with, you know what I'm saying, with the mestizos, you know what I'm saying, and them women, they poison y'all, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, what makes America great is that black men represent America, you know what I'm saying? And so I expect that black men come here and connect with other black men like me, you know, and let's build something, because black Latinos aren't represented, you know, and I represent black Latino. You know, I'm the real black American Latino, you know what I'm saying? And they ain't no, I want to represent that. So please give me an opportunity to represent my people, you know what I'm saying? I'm from here, Colombia. I'm a native here, okay? And I was raised in the United States of America with my black brothers, with my Mexican brothers, Ecuador, you know what I'm saying? Arabs, Kenya, all them people. So let me represent me, you know, because the mestizo Bugs Bunny, he ain't gonna represent me. He don't represent black Colombia, and we still need to be represented. Okay, so all my blood brothers, we love you. I understand what's going on over there. I've been to the struggle. I know what y'all going through. So please come over here so we can share what we going through, so we can link up, you know. Yeah, man, you know. So that's what I'm hoping for, you know, through this video.
That's a beautiful thing, man. So is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, like I said, you know what I'm saying, it's been a great opportunity, you know, and instead of trying to change the world, I'm trying to change myself daily, and hopefully I'll be a good example. You know, I'm trying to take a bad situation and trying to make it into a good, positive situation. So if there's anybody out there, you know what I'm saying, want to record, make some music, start some business, you know, please let me know, you know, so we can connect spiritually, you know what I'm saying, and physically and everything like that, you know. Rasta love, one vibration, you know. There's no separation. We love everybody, you know.
Beautiful, man. Johan, I appreciate you sitting down, taking the time to share your story with us, man, and best of blessings to you, man. Thank you.
Easy, yes. International, we love y'all. Y'all come to Medellin, come look for Joan, you know. I'm your best friend. Trust me, okay? I know your struggle. So we linked up. All right. One love.